A medieval real estate story. Imagine you're living in Europe centuries ago, in a world where the only thing standing between you and chaos is the strength of your walls, and your will to defend them. After the Roman Empire collapsed, Europe was chaos, no central authority, no security, just survival. The roads were dangerous, bandits roamed the countryside, and every village was on its own. It was a time when trust was rare, and danger was always lurking just beyond the horizon. Local warlords and neighbors eyed your land, and you couldn't call for help. You were the help. If you wanted to keep your family and your crops safe, you had to take matters into your own hands. You had to become your own protector, your own army, and your own last line of defense. The solution? Build a fortress. The Motte and Bailey Castle. It was the medieval answer to a world gone wild, a way to carve out a little island of safety in a sea of uncertainty. Picture a big mound of earth, the Motte, with a wooden tower on top, surrounded by a fenced yard, the Bailey. It was simple, but it worked. The higher you built, the better you could see trouble coming, and the harder it was for anyone to reach you. It wasn't about luxury, it was about sending a message. This is my hill, my tower, my dirt, stay out. The sight of a tower on a hill was enough to make most would-be invaders think twice. These early castles were the ultimate no trespassing signs, practical, tough, and all about survival. They were built to withstand attacks, not to impress guests. Your security system? It was as basic as it gets. A ditch to slow down attackers, a fence to keep them out, and a handful of guys with pointy sticks. Not exactly high-tech, but it got the job done. When trouble came, everyone, family, soldiers, even livestock, ran inside. The castle became a lifeboat in a storm, a place where your whole world could squeeze in and wait out the danger together. Attackers had to cross ditches, climb fences, and fight uphill while defenders rained down rocks and arrows. Every step was a struggle, every inch was contested. It was exhausting and deadly for anyone foolish enough to try. Most attackers gave up before they even reached the walls, worn down by the obstacles and the fierce defense. This simple design, a high place to defend and a protected area for your people, became the blueprint for every castle that followed. Over time, castles would grow larger and more complex, but the basic idea never changed. Castles weren't built for comfort, they were built to keep you alive. Cold stone walls, drafty halls, and hard beds were a small price to pay for safety. In a world of uncertainty, a castle was your best bet for survival. It was a place where you could sleep, if not soundly, at least safely. It was a symbol of power, a fortress, and a home, all rolled into one. To have a castle was to have a future, a legacy, and a fighting chance. The age of castles began with a simple, brutal logic: defend or be conquered, and for centuries that logic shaped the very landscape of Europe. What separates a castle from a big house? Intimidation by design. Castles were built for war, not comfort. Stone replaced wood. Thick curtain walls kept enemies out. Towers gave defenders a vantage point to rain arrows on attackers. Round towers replaced square ones to eliminate weak corners. Moats, sometimes filled with water, sometimes just mud, made sieges miserable. Drawbridges turned entrances into barriers at a moment's notice. Crenellations, arrow slits, and murder holes made every approach dangerous. A castle was a war machine disguised as a home. Life in a castle wasn't a fairy tale. The lord and his family lived in the keep, safer but cold, dark, and crowded. The lord was judge, general, and landlord. His wife managed the household and sometimes the defense. Below them, a small army of workers kept things running: soldiers, blacksmiths, cooks, servants, and squires. Most lived in cramped quarters, working long, hard days for a steady meal and shelter. The Bailey bustled with noise, soldiers drilling, children playing, animals everywhere. Castles were more like fortified villages than private homes. Life was communal, tough, and always on alert. Everyone had a job and everyone depended on the walls for safety. It was a hard life, but it beat the chaos outside. Castles evolved in a constant arms race. Siege engines like trebuchets could smash stone walls, so builders made walls higher and thicker. Projecting towers let defenders attack enemies at the base of the walls. Gatehouses became deadly traps with murder holes and arrow slits. The concentric castle, two walls, one inside the other, trapped attackers in a deadly crossfire. But then came gunpowder. Early cannons were clumsy, but soon they could pulverize stone walls in hours. Builders tried thicker, angled walls, but it was a losing battle. The age of the stone fortress was ending. Castles went from unbeatable strongholds to vulnerable relics almost overnight. The arms race had a clear winner: gunpowder. Dover Castle in England is a fortress with 2,000 years of history, standing as a silent witness to the tides of time and the many chapters of British history. Its walls have seen the rise and fall of empires, the clash of armies, and the evolution of warfare itself. Built on a dramatic strategic cliff overlooking the English Channel, it was known as the Key to England. Over centuries it was rebuilt, expanded and adapted, first by the Romans, then the Normans, and later during the World Wars, each era leaving its mark on the fortress. Its concentric walls and massive stone keep set the standard for European castles, inspiring fortress design across the continent. The castle's layered defenses made it nearly impregnable, a marvel of medieval engineering. Dover survived countless sieges and invasions, from medieval armies to Napoleonic threats, and even became a secret command center during World War II, with tunnels carved deep into the cliffs to protect against aerial bombardment. Now, let's travel to Syria, where Crac des Chevaliers rises from the hills, the ultimate Crusader castle, legendary for its strength and resilience. Built by the Knights Hospitaller, Crac des Chevaliers boasted thick sloping walls and could house up to 2,000 soldiers within its formidable ramparts. Its design was so advanced that it became the model for Crusader fortresses throughout the region. For over a century, Crac des Chevaliers withstood relentless sieges and attacks, its defenders holding out against overwhelming odds. In the end, it fell not to force but to cunning trickery, a testament to its near invincibility. Both Dover Castle and Crac des Chevaliers represent the very peak of medieval military engineering, blending innovation, strength, and strategic genius. But these castles were more than just fortresses. They were bold symbols of power, ambition, and the enduring human desire to protect and control. Even after their military roles faded, their stories and legends endured, echoing through the centuries and inspiring generations. Today these castles stand as awe-inspiring monuments to the ingenuity, determination, and creativity of their builders, reminders of a time when stone walls shaped the fate of nations. Cannons changed everything. What once took months to besiege could now be destroyed in days. Star forts replaced castles. Low, angled walls absorbed cannon fire. The tall towers and thick walls of old castles became obsolete. Feudalism faded, kings grew stronger, and lords no longer needed private fortresses. Castles were abandoned, scavenged for stone, or converted into prisons and homes. Some were destroyed to prevent enemy use, others became romantic ruins. The fortress was out, the manor house was in, the age of castles as military power was over, but their legacy was just beginning. Castles may have lost their military purpose, but they never lost their hold on our imagination. These ancient fortresses, once the heart of kingdoms and the backdrop of epic tales, continue to fascinate us centuries after their walls first rose from the earth. Some, like Windsor Castle, are still royal homes, echoing with the footsteps of monarchs and the ceremonies of state. Others have become tourist sites, drawing visitors from around the world to wander their storied halls, or haunting ruins where only the wind and memories remain. Even a crumbling tower in a lonely field sparks questions. Who lived here, who fought here, and what dramas unfolded within these stones? Each ruin is a silent witness to centuries of human struggle, ambition, and hope. Castles remind us of a time when survival meant building walls and standing guard, when communities gathered behind thick stone for protection, and every sunrise brought new uncertainty. They're symbols of power, romance, and adventure in stories from King Arthur to Game of Thrones. Castles inspire legends, fairy tales, and modern fantasies, their towers and dungeons fueling our collective imagination. The word castle still means strength and security. It conjures images of unbreakable walls, safe havens, and the promise of protection in a dangerous world. Our language and culture are full of echoes from the age of castles. Festivals, reenactments, and even city names keep their memory alive, reminding us of the enduring mark they've left on our world. In the end, castles were tools, built to solve the problem of survival in a dangerous world. They were feats of engineering, designed to withstand siege and time, and their construction was a testament to human determination. They did their job for centuries, then faded as the world changed. As new technologies and societies emerged, the need for castles disappeared, but their presence never truly left us. But we keep their ruins because they connect us to our past. Exploring these remnants, we touch history, imagining the lives once lived within these walls. They're monuments to human ingenuity, grit, and the will to endure. Every stone tells a story of resilience, creativity, and the desire to leave a mark on the world. In their long shadows we remember where we came from, and perhaps we find inspiration for where we're going next.